When we talk about recognizing the signs that God is with you, the first and perhaps most profound marker is peace. Not the peace that comes from everything in your life being in order, but the peace that shows up precisely when everything seems to be falling apart. That is the type of peace the Bible describes as surpassing all understanding. It's not rational. It doesn't fit the circumstances. It's the kind of calm that shouldn't exist when the bills are piling up, the diagnosis is unfavorable, or the relationships are strained. Yet somehow there is still a stillness in your spirit that refuses to break. That peace is not something you can manufacture. You can try to distract yourself, numb yourself, or talk yourself into believing everything will be okay. But those strategies only last so long. Human attempts at peace crumble under sustained pressure. But when the Spirit of God steps in, He gives you something sturdier. He offers a deep assurance that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you are held. That inner calm is not the result of denial. It's the result of divine presence. It's the Spirit whispering to your heart, "I've got you. You're not walking through this alone." Think of it this way. When Jesus was asleep in the boat during the storm, the disciples panicked because they were relying on their human understanding of wind and waves. They thought survival depended on their strength. But Jesus was at rest because His peace was not rooted in circumstances. It was rooted in His confidence in the Father. And when He finally stood and spoke, He did not just calm the storm outside the boat. He revealed the greater truth that peace comes from within when God is present. That same principle applies to us. You will know God is with you when the boat is rocking, the winds are howling, but your soul remains anchored. Now, peace doesn't mean you won't feel pressure. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of fear or doubt, but it does mean those moments don't control you. Something deeper keeps pulling you back to a place of quiet trust. And here's the thing, the enemy notices that. One of the reasons your trials sometimes intensify is because Satan despises that inner stability. He would rather see you frantic, anxious, and defeated. But when you carry God's peace, you are declaring war on everything the enemy is trying to do. Peace itself becomes a weapon. It frustrates the devil because he cannot rattle a person whose heart is settled in God. From a psychological perspective, peace is not passive, it is strength under control, it is resilience disguised as stillness. Our culture often confuses busyness with progress, or noise with effectiveness, but God's way is different. He teaches us that the ability to rest inwardly, even while we are working outwardly, is the true sign of maturity. Inner peace reveals that we are no longer enslaved by external conditions. Instead, we are living from a higher reality. Philosophically, peace is the alignment of the soul with ultimate reality. Anxiety comes from fragmentation, when our mind, body, and spirit are pulling in different directions. But when God is present, He unifies those parts of us. He integrates our being. Suddenly, the gap between who we are and who we're meant to be narrows. That's why peace feels so liberating. It's a taste of wholeness. It's evidence that heaven has invaded earth in your heart. This is why you can measure God's presence not by whether storms vanish, but by whether peace appears. Too often we pray only for the storm to end, but sometimes God allows the storm to continue precisely so you can discover that His peace is greater than the storm itself. That's the lesson He's teaching you. His presence is enough. If you never had trouble, you might never recognize His nearness. Trouble makes peace more visible. So if you've been walking through chaos and you notice that for some reason you're not collapsing, pay attention. That's not your strength, that's His. If you've been under attack, yet you still sleep at night, that's not luck. That's God's hand steadying you. If everything in you wants to panic, but something in you insists on holding hope, that is a sign. That is proof. God is with you. And here's the beauty. Peace doesn't just benefit you, it becomes contagious. When others see you steady in situations that would normally break someone, they recognize that there is something different about you. Your peace becomes a testimony. It becomes a silent sermon pointing people toward the source of your strength. You don't even have to preach. You simply live in a way that demonstrates what it looks like when God dwells with his people. So don't discount the stillness in your spirit. Don't dismiss the calm you feel as if it's just personality or luck. No, that is divine evidence. That is heaven's fingerprint on your life. And if you're in a season right now where peace has surprised you, where calm has shown up in the middle of your chaos, take that as your confirmation. It is God's way of saying, I'm here, I've got you, you're mine. Peace in the storm is not just a sign, it's a promise. It tells you that the God who stood with you yesterday is still standing with you today, and he'll be right there tomorrow. So let me leave you with this. Don't chase the absence of trouble. Chase the presence of peace. Because if you can find peace in the storm, you'll realize you were never really alone in the boat. God was with you all along. Another unmistakable sign that God is with you is favor. And I don't just mean favor in the sense of blessings that come wrapped in obvious packages like promotions, breakthroughs, or sudden opportunities. True divine favor is broader, deeper, and often less visible to the naked eye. It is the hand of God arranging circumstances, aligning people, and protecting you in ways you may not even notice until you look back. When God's favor is on your life, doors open that you didn't even know were there. Conversations happen at the right time. Someone remembers your name when they could have easily forgotten. Situations that should have crushed you end up shaping you. That is not coincidence. That is favor. And while we often crave the kind of favor that makes headlines, miraculous breakthroughs or material abundance, sometimes the greatest evidence of God's favor is the quiet preservation of your life when you didn't even realize you were in danger. Think about Joseph in the book of Genesis. His brothers sold him into slavery, and for years it looked as if his life was spiraling downward. From the outside, no one would have called that favor. But every step, even the painful ones, was positioning him for influence. The pit led to Potiphar's house. Potiphar's house led to the prison, and the prison led to the palace. Favor isn't always comfortable, but it is always purposeful. What looked like rejection was actually redirection. What felt like abandonment was preparation. God's favor doesn't always prevent hardship, but it guarantees that hardship will never have the final say. From a psychological standpoint, we often misinterpret favor because we equate it with ease. We assume that if God is with us, life should feel smooth. But favor is not about removing all resistance. It's about giving you divine leverage in the midst of resistance. Think of a sailboat. The wind itself is invisible and uncontrollable, but when it blows, it carries the vessel forward. Favor works the same way. It's an unseen force that moves your life further than your strength alone could take you. You may still have to adjust the sails. You may still have to endure the waves, but with God's wind at your back, you'll arrive at places you could never reach on your own. Philosophically, favor is the evidence that there is a larger hand shaping reality. Life without favor is life on human terms only. It is bound by effort, connections, and chance. But life with favor transcends those limitations. It introduces a dimension of grace, where outcomes are not proportionate to input, where results surpass effort. You find yourself standing in places you are unqualified for, speaking in rooms you never imagined entering, receiving opportunities you didn't even apply for. That's what separates favor from luck. Luck is random. Favor is intentional. And favor is not just about what you get, it's also about what you avoid. Sometimes God's favor is seen most clearly in what never happened. The accident you narrowly missed, the job you thought you wanted but didn't get, only to later realize it would have destroyed your peace. The relationship that ended before it could derail your purpose. Protection itself is favor. And while we often thank God for what we see, we rarely pause to thank Him for the dangers unseen that His favor deflected. Another important aspect of favor is that it isn't always recognized by others. In fact, sometimes God's favor will make people uncomfortable around you. Joseph's brothers resented him because of the favor he carried. David's anointing stirred Saul's jealousy. Even Jesus faced rejection in his hometown, not because he lacked favor, but because favor often provokes insecurity in those who can't explain it. So don't be surprised if your favor draws opposition. That's part of the process. The very resistance you face is often confirmation that you are carrying something others can't control. But here is the key. Favor is never meant to terminate on you alone. God gives favor to flow through you. When His favor rests on your life, it's not just so you can prosper, but so you can become a channel of blessing to others. Joseph's favor wasn't just for Joseph, it was for the survival of nations. Esther's favor wasn't just for Esther, it was for the preservation of her people. When you walk in favor, you carry responsibility. You become a steward of opportunities that are bigger than yourself. That's why humility is so critical when walking in favor. The moment you begin to think it's all about you, you risk mishandling what God placed in your hands. Favor is not a trophy, it's a tool. It's a reminder that God is with you, not just to bless you, but to use you. And when you keep that perspective, favor multiplies, because God can trust those who remember that it's His hand, not their own, that brought them to where they are. So if you find yourself in situations where things are working out in ways you can't quite explain, don't dismiss it as chance. If you've been spared from setbacks that others around you couldn't escape, take note. If doors are opening, if protection is evident, if opportunities keep showing up even when you feel underqualified, that's favor. That's God's way of reminding you, I'm with you, I'm guiding you, I'm orchestrating things you can't see. Remember, favor doesn't always feel dramatic in the moment. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's the quiet nudge, the unexpected connection, or the unexplained survival in the midst of a trial. But over time, when you look back, you'll see the fingerprints of God all over your journey. So let me leave you with this. Stop waiting for favor to look like fireworks. Start recognizing it in the simple, the ordinary, the hidden. Because if you can learn to see God's favor in the small things, you'll be ready to steward it when the big things come. Favor isn't just a sign that God is with you. It's the living proof that His hand is on your life, guiding you step by step, preparing you for purposes bigger than you can imagine.